Hello, AUW members. Welcome so much to all of you to our fall member gathering. We have quite an agenda today, and we have a lot of folks who have registered to join us this afternoon. And so we'll just take a few moments to ensure everyone arrives and is able to join us. And we will get started with today's program. First, also want to acknowledge our fiscal year 24 champions for women and girls. These are our very generous supporters who have made contributions of $5,000 or more cumulatively over this past fiscal year. We're really proud to count these generous individuals as our highest level supporters, and we truly appreciate all that you do in support of our mission. I also want to welcome and thank our FY24 Legacy Circle members. So these are individuals who have joined our Planned Giving Society, the Legacy Circle, over this past fiscal year. We truly appreciate your commitment to AUW's mission and would like to welcome you as a part of this year's Legacy Circle members. Wanted to also give a special shout out to those Legacy Circle members. This past year, we realized over $2.6 million in planned gifts in support of AUW's greatest needs and fellowships and grants, and we are so very appreciative of those donors. These are both members and individuals who have passed over the past couple of years and left very generous gifts in their estates to AUW. We wanted to take a moment to remember and recognize those very special donors who are continuing to support AUW and our mission as the years go on. So thank you so much. I wanted to share a little bit about today's program. We'll first start with a welcome from Sherry Sorokin, our board chair. We'll have a CEO update from Gloria Blackwell, receive some updates on the 5-star program from Tremaine Parquet, get an AUW policy update from Megan Cassell, and I will be joining you once again to close today's program. But before we get started, I would love to learn a little bit more about those of you who are here joining us with a poll about membership. So in particular, we would love to know a little bit more about the members that are joining us today. We have a variety of memberships. Many of you are branch members joining us from one of our hundreds of branches from across the country. We also have quite a few national-only members, those members who are part of the national organization and maybe previously with the branch are not yet a part of the branch. And we also have student members. So student members are also an important part of our membership group. Some of you are attending one of our college or university member campuses and are student members for free. Some of you also have learned about AUW and have joined the national organization. And then we also have some that join our branches and our state organizations as well. I'd love to learn a little bit more about you. So it looks like we've got almost a majority, about 84% participating. We'll allow just a moment for the last group to participate, and then I'll end the poll. Not surprised that most of our members are our branch members. We welcome you. We also welcome, of course, our national only and our student members. I'll stop sharing the results. Now, next, I want to be able to show you a message of welcome from our board chair, Sherry Sorokin. She isn't able to join us live today, but she has recorded a welcome message, and we look forward to proceeding with the rest of our program.
Hello, everyone. I am excited to welcome so many of you from across the country to this special virtual meeting. As your board chair and as a more than 50-year member of AAUW, it's truly an honor for me to welcome so many people to this special gathering. I'm so sorry that I can't be live, that I'm recording this because of a conflict that keeps me from being present with you today. But I hope you have that sense of AAUW friendship and camaraderie, despite the fact that this is a virtual meeting and that I'm recording the introduction. It's such an important part of AAUW that we have such good friends and supporters among us. So the meeting today is really to focus on how can we increase AAUW's impact. You know, we're going to have some fun as in addition. We're going to be recognizing some individuals and some branch achievements. We're going to be talking about a new program, and we're going to just focus a lot about how we can improve our impact. You know, for me, AAUW has been much more than just an organization in my life. It's been a lifeline. I faced a lot of discrimination early on in my career, or well, throughout my career. And in AAUW, I found the friendship, the support, the leadership opportunities, and the tools with which to deal with discrimination. Nationals programming and the affiliate network that we have around the country all provided me with the strategic information and data that I needed and the tools with which I could not only be an activist for myself, but for other women and girls, make a difference around the country in calling out discrimination against women and girls. But let's be honest, in the last 5 or so years, there's been a lot of pushback against the gains that we made in the last 100 or 50 years. We really have our work cut out for us now. You know, it seems like every step forward, we get real pushback. Also, let's be honest, that culturally, there have been a lot of changes in the environment that have impacted the effectiveness of organizations like AAUW. It's not just us facing these questions, it's a lot of other organizations that are facing them as well. Now, I truly believe that AAUW can continue to be a force to be reckoned with, a real leader in the fight against discrimination against women and girls. But to remain that kind of a leader, we have to look at change. We have to think about what are we doing now and how can we be better, more impactful in the work that we do. And to do that means, at least on one front, right, working more closely together to have impact. If you're a national member, here are some things that you can do to help improve AAUW's impact. For one, you can be sure that you're a 2-minute activist. This is a great AAUW program for advocacy. You don't even have to be a member, frankly, to join it, but we'd love to have more members be part of the 2-minute activist network. You can also, as a national member, follow us on social media. You can repost the social media posts that AAUW puts out there to dramatically increase our reach to hundreds of thousands of people across the country and maybe across the world on the work that AAUW is doing. You can also let your networks know about our fellowships and grant programs and the importance that they've had over the course of our last 100 and some odd years together. And you can donate money to AAUW, maybe more than once during a year. Money is always great. It's really helpful, especially if it's given to our Greatest Needs Fund. And finally, if you're a national member, you can also reach out to AAUW at the local grassroots level. You know, you don't have to join a branch, but you can really let them know what you're doing and be collaborative in the work that you're doing to support women and girls. There are also online branches for their areas where we do not have a local presence at a branch. So try that outreach. Now, if you're a branch member, you can do all of those things that I just talked about, but in reality, we're going to ask you today to do 2 more things in particular. One is to help us get your branch more focused on mission-based activities, and also to help your branch participate in our annual branch surveys. One of the things that we really need is to increase the data that we have available in order for us to explain what our outreach really is, the effectiveness of our outreach really is to other people who are interested in AAUW and how strong an organization we are. So we need your help in gathering that data. And to this end, Tremaine Parquet is going to be talking about, or Parquet, sorry, Tremaine is going to be talking about our 5-star program and our annual branch surveys that we want everybody, all branches, to participate in this year. Sharing your achievements really makes a difference in how we talk about the impact that AAUW is making, and in where we know we need to do more work to improve our impact. It's not just a record-keeping activity or a bureaucratic request from the national office. This is really important. Data is king these days, as you, I think, all well know. So that's one aspect of this meeting. And additionally, you're going to hear updates from our great CEO, Gloria Blackwell, and from our public policy guru or leader, Megan Kissel. And her information is going to be like hot off the press because there's some information coming out on this very day that she will incorporate into her remarks. And finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the importance of voting, particularly this year. You know, so many of our issues, the issues that impact women, are at stake in this election. Not only do we have a great voter guide that everybody can be distributing, right? But we also have the important duty to get women and girls out to vote, particularly younger women and girls, because this does affect their future. So a huge shout out to the national staff for putting this all together. They're going to be invaluable in supporting our technology needs, although I hope I'm not jinxing anything by mentioning that out loud. Let's give them a virtual round of applause for all of the support that they're giving us. They will also track your questions as we go through the program so that we can respond to you after the fact if we don't answer the question during the program itself. And finally, thank you again for your support for AAUW and for your commitment to our mission of advancing equity for women and girls. Thanks very much.
Good afternoon, AAUW members. I want to thank Sherry for the very warm welcome, and I want to thank each of you for being here with us today. Today, I stand, or I should say sit before you with a deep sense of gratitude and joy. Gratitude for your unwavering commitment to our mission and joy in all that we have achieved together. In these challenging times, your presence here, your passion, and your dedication are a testament to the power of community. Our world is changing, as we all know, and so are the barriers to equity. But I see this not as a setback, but as a call to action. Now, more than ever, we must take the opportunity to build a future where every woman and girl can thrive. This past spring, we welcomed Sherry as AAUW's new board chair and vice chair, Dr. Gloria Banuelos, along with our newly appointed directors, Melissa LeDuc, Diane Owens, Sona Pancholi, Christine Schmitz, and Antonia Stavalos. We are very excited to have such a talented, diverse, and passionate group leading AAUW forward. I also want to take just a moment to recognize our generous donors, including our Champions for Women and Girls and our Legacy Circle members. Your unwavering support really is the backbone of our work, and we are deeply grateful for your ongoing commitment to AAUW's mission. So once again, I am delighted to welcome you all to this virtual gathering where we come together as a united community dedicated to advancing equity for women and girls. As we reflect on the past few months, I'm proud to share the incredible accomplishments we've achieved together since I last addressed many of you during state conventions and other member events earlier this year. First, let me extend a heartfelt congratulations to everyone involved in making the 2024 National Conference for College Women Student Leaders, also known as NCWSL, a Strong success for all attendees. As many of you are aware, we piloted a new business model, which was a shortened version, and we were still able to welcome 500 college women from across the nation for leadership training, advocacy, and career development workshops. So we thank each of you for your generous NICWSL contributions to support those ambitious future leaders, and they provided extremely positive feedback on their experience. And that's the good news. But we do continue to face major revenue challenges for supporting NICWSL as we focus on the future of AAUW's organizational sustainability. But our impact doesn't stop with NICWSL. As we enter the back to school season, or back to campus, we should say, our fellowships and grants team welcomes over 260 new fellows and grantees for the 2024-2025 academic year. We've awarded totally since 1888 over 146 million to more than 14,000 women and nonprofits in our country and around the world. These grants have helped shape history, empowering voices that drive social change. This is your impact, AAUW members. This is what your support does. We've also launched a mentoring program to further support our fellowships and grants alumni to support their careers and strengthen connections within the AAUW community. With over 135 years of funding women, no one has done what AAUW has done. Thank you. We've also completed another successful year of our salary negotiation and financial literacy training through our Women's Economic Empowerment Initiative, directly impacting over 6,000 individuals. This training isn't just about numbers. It's about changing lives. Imagine a woman who, for the first time, feels empowered to negotiate her salary or manage her finances effectively. That is transformative. That is the power of your support. Our programs have been generously supported by the Coca-Cola Foundation, AAUW Honolulu, the OCF Joseph E. Weston Public Foundation, AAUW's New York Metro Fund, and the generous supporters of our Greatest Needs Fund. Thank you all. In addition to the work we do to make these programs available to women at minority-serving institutions and women's colleges, students, staff, and faculty at our college and university, known as CU, member institutions, now have access to these programs as well as a free benefit of membership. We encourage members to learn more about promoting these programs on campuses and recruiting more CU and student members by checking out the updated CU toolkit that we released earlier this spring on the website. Simply click on membership, then governance and tools to access it today. In addition to our salary negotiation and financial literacy trainings, we want to lift up the importance of compensation and pay transparency in higher education, specifically through our work on the Let's Talk Money project. It's a National Science Foundation Advanced Partnership 5-year project. And as a co-principal investigator on this project, along with colleagues at the Rochester Institute for Technology and the Association of Public and Land Grant Universities, I am very pleased to represent AAUW and share resources in our expertise designed to enhance economic security for women and motivate systemic change in higher education compensation. To learn more about the project, particularly if you are connected to higher education, please join us for an informative webinar next week on September 17th. So all of the great work that AAUW is doing has not gone unnoticed. We have received prominent media coverage and recognition and have been a featured speaker at numerous events and continue to work in coalition with organizations aligned with our mission and values, further amplifying our message and increasing awareness of the critical issues that we address. Some highlights from the past several months include I've had interviews from the Boston Globe to the LA Times, We hosted a group of international visitors from North Africa and the Near East at the national office. I spoke at the Engage Summit of the Majority and discussed economic security, women's rights, and gender equity. I represented AAUW at the unveiling of the Dorothy Celeste Bolding Farabee Way in DC. Dr. Farabee was a groundbreaking physician, civil rights pioneer, and longtime AAUW member and leader. I also attended the White House Juneteenth celebration and was honored to represent AAUW and lift up Black Women's Equal Pay Day with Dr. Avis Jones DeWeaver on the Roland Martin Unfiltered show, and also took place with a virtual Institute for Women's Policy Research event with their CEO, Dr. Jamila Taylor. All women deserve dignity, respect, and fairness, and AAUW will keep up the fight. Speaking on these topics is both energizing and affirming and puts AAUW's voice in key gender equity spaces. On August 26th, we celebrated Women's Equality Day, and along with our fellow ERA Coalition partners, we lifted up our support of the publication of the Equal Rights Amendment. Last weekend, we partnered with the YWCA and their Why Women Vote 2024 Gen Z National Town Hall in Philadelphia. And you'll hear more about our policy work later on in the program from Megan Cassell, our Senior Director of Policy. Later this month, we're excited to join members at the AAUW Atlantic Regional Conference, which will be hosted in Virginia. So as you can see, there is a lot going on, and AAUW is making sure that our mission continues to move forward. And as we continue to move the mission forward and to raise AAUW's profile to new audiences, I'm pleased to share that AAUW has achieved the highest ratings from both Charity Navigator and Candid, a testament to our commitment to transparency, accountability, and effective stewardship of the resources entrusted to us. And thanks to the dedication of our members, donors, and staff, we surpassed our charitable contribution goals for the fiscal year 2024 and kept the mission moving forward. Thank you. And that's an important achievement because, like so many nonprofits, AAUW faces external and internal challenges with increasing costs and a growing landscape of gender equity organizations. But as AAUW, we are resilient and we are resolute, and we need your help to continue pushing forward. Our work has never been more critical, and we need your support now more than ever. A special acknowledgement goes out to our branches that participated in the 2023 branch survey and earned stars through our 5-star National Recognition Program. Congratulations and thank you. Your dedication to our shared goals strengthens our collective impact, and we are proud of your achievements. In particular, I'd like to recognize our fiscal year 2023 5-star branches for your special commitment to excellence. Looking ahead, this year's survey, which covers branch activities from fiscal year 2024, will be emailed to branch presidents on September 12th. Tremaine Parquet will be sharing more information about this survey shortly, as well as what you need to know about the 5-star program for FY 2025. I strongly encourage all branches to participate, as your contributions are vital to our continued success. Last year, about a third of our branches participated, but I know we can do better than that this year. Am I right? It is critical that we learn more from each other about our collective impact, that we share our successes and move together toward achieving our mission. And as you know, later on this evening, the presidential debate will be taking place. In this critical election year, it is more important than ever for us to be informed and engaged. I urge you to take full advantage of the resources we are providing through the It's My Vote campaign. Megan will be sharing important updates from her team on how you can support our voter education initiatives. And remember, it is imperative for AAUW and our branches to focus on the issues and strictly avoid endorsement of any specific candidate. So before I pass the baton, I want to again express my deepest gratitude to each of you for your steadfast dedication to AAUW's mission. Think of the women and girls we are empowering, the students and scholars, the single mothers, the first generation college graduates and students, the innovators, and the leaders of tomorrow across industries. Your support helps our fellows and grantees and program participants find their voices, gain confidence, and support their career and educational journeys. Imagine the impact if everyone here today committed to giving just a little more, advocating just a little louder, or volunteering just a bit more time. The difference that AAUW could make is immeasurable. I believe in the power of the AAUW community. I believe in the change that we can create together. We have achieved so much, but there is still so much more to do. Your generosity, your advocacy, and your passion are needed now more than ever. So let's not just talk about change, let's actually be the change. Let's stand together, give generously, and lead boldly into the future that we all want to see. Again, thank you all so much for joining us. Now, I am pleased to turn the floor over to Tremaine Parquet, our Deputy Director of Advancement, who will share more about our five-star program in this year's annual branch survey. Tremaine?
Thank you, Gloria. And this is a great visual reminder that I need to update my headshot there, but glad to join you all today. Katrina, I think we're going to try and launch a poll to get us started on our topic today, which is the AAUW five-star program, and just to gauge some general interest in the program as a whole. So let me know if there's any issues launching that. There we go. Perfect. So give it a few moments while we get some feedback. If obviously if you have not heard of the five-star program before, don't feel that you're obligated to respond, but and not sure is okay. But this is just giving us a good sense for where the temperature lies with five-star. We're going to dive a little bit more into some of the particulars, but just getting a sense for general views, and this is about what I would expect. I'm glad to see some eager folks. That the yeses are great. I'm not sure is fine too. Hopefully we will be demystifying a little bit of what the five-star program entails, as well as hopefully kind of sharing a little bit more about what the program is, what resources are available, so that way hopefully everyone can kind of get a sense for whether this is right for them. So let's go on and start with our first slide here and get into what is the five-star program. So whether you are new to AAUW or you've been involved for years, I'm excited to discuss the five-star program with you today. At its core, the five-star program serves as a roadmap towards branch success. It's designed to guide branches and their members in setting aside goals for the upcoming year, ensuring that their local efforts align with AAUW's national strategic priorities. And it serves as a mechanism for AAUW to recognize and celebrate achievements from branches across the nation and what they have accomplished along the way. If there's one major takeaway, however, that I want members and leaders to take away from just my presentation, is that it is not solely about the recognition. It is great, and I love that we can celebrate our miraculous, wonderful five-star branches. But even if you've only been able to get a communication star or a advocacy star, this is really about strengthening our impact. I think Cherie mentioned this earlier, Gloria mentioned this earlier. I will continue to echo this. It is really about strengthening and sharing our impact as a mission about advancing equity for women and girls. Today, I'll be providing an overview of that program. I'll share a little bit more about how it makes its branches more sustainable and mission aligned, and also explain how you can participate. So starting on our next slide, let's get into the categories. What is the 5-star program about? What does it encompass? So let's walk through those categories really quickly, and then I'll also call out for those veterans of the program some of the criteria and changes that may have been changed or updated for the 2025 fiscal year. That's on our website. And I would also encourage everyone, leaders and non-leaders alike, if you are looking for a full and detailed accounting of the criteria and resources, search for 5-star on our website, www.aauw.org. I will drop a link in the chat for more information. But let's start with the Advancement Star. This is really about focusing on fundraising, recruiting, retaining members, and supporting AAUW's initiatives. It's a way to ensure your branch is sustainable while also supporting our, again, collective mission. There are no real changes to the Advancement Star for the 2025 fiscal year. But one thing I do want to call out and bring attention to is the fact that you should not feel burdened as a branch leader to calculate or tabulate all the figures related or pertaining to this fundraising star. The national team will be taking care of all of that tabulation for you. And in fact, I'll be updating later in my remarks, showing you what a mid-year report that we're going to be preparing for branches that will hopefully give you an idea of where you are. And that way you can change or shift your fundraising as a result for the remainder of the fiscal year. And I'll be reporting, like I mentioned, I'll be providing a little bit more details on that later. The Public Policy and Advocacy Star involves engaging in policy discussions, meeting with legislators, organizing events around AAUW's policy priorities. One of the new additions I do want to call out, not only for just this star, but for the governance and communication stars as well, is that we are going to be providing more options to branches to participate at levels and areas they wish to engage in, no matter, what your comfort level is, or so we hope. You only have to complete 3 of the criteria necessary in order to accomplish this star, and like I mentioned, the governance star and the communications as well. We hope that this gives you a level of customization that works best for your branch's strengths and is relevant to what the work you're doing in your community. Returning to the Policy and Advocacy Star, though, for fiscal year 2025, we did add some items in relation to holding a state lobby day, and as pretty apropos for today, engaging in voter registration or education events is just a name of a couple new additions to this star. The Governance and Sustainability Star focuses on leadership succession, diversity planning, participating in surveys and initiatives that help a branch's long-term success. Once again, this is a star that gives a few options, so you're able to pursue different things based on your strengths and your plans. Because we do feel so strongly that the 5-star program is essential to sustainability, we do have some things that reflect that within the criteria itself. For instance, you will see 2 additions for the fiscal year 2025 criteria about developing a plan about, engaging in the 5-star program at the branch level. And there's also a criteria just for participating in the annual branch survey. So if you do just those 2 things, that's 2 things you can check off your list for just that 1 star. Programming is our next star. It encourages branches to hold more programs aligned with AAUW's mission. Pretty straightforward, but it is a vital star. It is the only star that has a single criterion, and that is because it is that important, because we do want branches engaging locally with our mission. So because that shows how, again, that holistic collective impact works from the ground up, and we want to be able to share out and report out on those achievements. We do not make any changes to this star for the 2025 fiscal year, but I always want to call out when it comes to the programming star is that you can divide and conquer. You can 2 birds with 1 stone, where if you do programming that is themed or aligned in certain ways, you can actually take on an advocacy star or something with DEI and integrate that into your programming. And that allows you to then kind of strategically, smartly do a couple things within the 5-star program with just 1 activity potentially. So it's always something I want to always throw out there. And lastly, the Communications and External Relations star emphasizes sharing your branch's work and engaging with your community, whether through social media, newsletters, or events. There are quite a few additions for this star in particular for fiscal year 2025, but again, you're given options as to which ones you want to buy into. So in addition to having some regular posts or reposts of AAUW content on your branch social media accounts, this star will also encourage you to have a leader subscribing to AAUW emails and newsletters. Again, staying informed is crucial. Regularly include AAUW information in your branch newsletters and have a dedicated communications officer. On our next slide, let's talk about some resources. We know that reaching these goals requires resources and support, and the national office is here to help with some tools, templates, guidelines are all available on our website to assist you with meeting our 5-star criteria. We'll also be hosting webinars throughout the year on topics relevant to branch success, from fundraising tech strategies to advocacy techniques. There is an FAQ now added recently to our 5-star page. This is going to be a fluid, organic document. We will be listening for feedback throughout the year and adding to that organically as a result. So we hope that we can continue to grow this list and make sure that it is as complete as possible to make sure it is addressing as many concerns as possible. And then lastly, and I don't want to overlook that the branches that have had success is really important, not only because we want to duly recognize and celebrate the branches that have made these significant achievements over the years, but it's also for someone, and I know we do have a few in the audience today that are unaffiliated, potentially looking for a branch. The 5-star success page is also a good resource for you as well, because it actually is giving you examples of successful branches that are doing mission-aligned work in your community, nationally recognized, and if you want to do a little bit more locally and do a bit more with your membership with AAUW, those could be potential options to join. So on our next slide, let's talk a little bit more about the annual branch survey. Now, this survey is important because it helps us understand the activities happening at the branch level and allows national to provide better support. Your participation informs our strategies, resources, and communications, and it ensures that we are responsive to your needs. It is also a chance to showcase the extent to which our outreach to all prospective audiences, again, even non-branch members. And finally, it does serve as the primary vehicle by which we assess our branch's accomplishments towards our 5-star criteria. This year's annual branch survey will cover the period from July 1, 2023 through June 30, 2024. It will begin, this is on the slide, but this will begin on September 12th, as was mentioned earlier, and it will run through October 14th. We encourage every branch to participate, because as more branches participate, it strengthens the valuable insights that we're getting from the data and how we can continue to uplift our mission together. So finally, on our last slide here, I just want to give some call to action, some next steps, and of course, ways that you'll be able to stay informed and stay engaged throughout the 5-star process. The first thing obviously coming up this week is the annual branch survey. So when that is launched on the 12th, we encourage all branches, of course, to participate. The questions for the survey will be made available on the website, so you don't have to do anything like printing it out or anything like last time. And that way you can also take time to compare the notes amongst your peers and then ensure that, when you do sit down for the survey, you're providing complete answers as possible. Look out for the mid-year update. So this is something new that I mentioned when I was talking about the advancement star. We are going to be able to provide you with a kind of a mid-year snapshot, and for a fiscal year, the mid-year would be in January, where we will be providing a financial kind of status update on where things are. That way, as I mentioned, you can make a mid-year pivot or make some changes on what your fundraising objectives may be for the remainder of the year. That typically follows that time is state convention. So it's good to have that knowledge going into that last final push to make sure that, you're able to hit those benchmarks accordingly. And of course, Membership Matters. For those unfamiliar, Membership Matters is a newsletter for our member leaders within our branches, and it is going to be the hub of information if we make updates to our resources, when we make additions to the FAQs, if there's any change in timing or updates in that regard. Membership Matters would obviously be your source for everything update related for our 5-star program. And lastly, I just want to encourage participation. Again, the more information we are able to collectively share about what we do in our communities, what we do nationally, uplifts us all. And so I just want to, and that is, again, one of the core tenets of what the 5-Star program is about. So I want to not only encourage, if you are in a branch that maybe did not participate in 5-Star, maybe could potentially benefit for a roadmap to get more strategically aligned. Maybe the 5-Star program is right for you, and maybe you should encourage your branch leaders to consider it. And likewise for our national members. I just want to share that if you are interested in engaging with the branch, again, this is a really good list of branches that shows that they are doing mission-centric work in your community, and again, have received that national kudos and acclaim. So I want to make sure that you're also taking an opportunity to look at the 5-Star program, maybe not for the nitty-gritty, but for that list, so that you might be able to find a community in your neighborhood that's doing some of the mission-centric work that is important to you. And so I'm going to drop my email in the chat, as well as the longer link to the 5-Star program page, so that you can have those information. But like I said, if you're a branch leader, stay tuned. Later this week, you're going to be sent an email related to the annual branch survey. But that is the end of my remarks, and I will now pass the baton to our dear colleague, Megan Cassell.
Thank you, Tremaine, and you are not the only one who needs an update on their photos. Hi, everybody. For those who don't know me, my name is Megan Cassell, and I'm your Senior Director of Policy and Member Advocacy, and I'm also a branch member, like many of you on the call today. So I want to thank everybody, all of my sister members, for your interest and engagement in advocacy and in our collective efforts to advance policy in support of women's equity, whether that be in school or in the workplace or just in life with civil rights. So thank you for that work. I also want to start by taking a look at the states. Before I give you an idea of what things look like at the federal level, Train, if I could just, move over. And I want to thank everybody who is in the role of either a state public policy chair, branch public policy chair, or director, because you are doing the work. There have been many challenges at the state level, even at the school board level this year, that AUW members have risen to the challenge. I am not going to do it justice to name all of the wins that our AUW members have had across the country, but let me give a shout out just to a couple of states in particular. California has been having a tremendous year in terms of really fighting on behalf of kids. They had a wonderfully successful bill this year that prevents the forced outing of transgender students in schools. It's the only state to have this rule. This actually comes at a time where Congress tomorrow will be looking at a bill that requires teachers and schools to forcibly out transgender students to their families. So appreciate all of the work that California has done on that issue, on strengthening sexual assault and harassment information going out to schools, some of the work that they're doing with funding. On the opposite side of the country, we've seen Massachusetts have success for economic equity and a pay transparency bill that was signed this year after many, many months of hard work on that. It's not always a win. There are definitely times where we continue to push, and we see that on paid family leave. I want to give a shout out to the folks from AUW Pennsylvania who've been working really hard on trying to move paid medical leave for the people in Pennsylvania. And we're seeing this kind of activity around the country, whether it be for schools or economic security. So thank you. All right, so this is my turn to do a quick poll and really want to ask you, how many of you are engaging with the 2-Minute Activist? How many folks are receiving your emails and not just receiving them, but then sending letters to your members of Congress? while folks are taking a moment to respond to that, let me just tell you how important that is. We've talked, Sherry talked about the need for us to be impactful. And when it comes to policy, we can only be impactful when we are working together. So every time you receive an email from me or somebody else at AAUW asking you to take action, whether it's at the federal or the state level, please take those 2 minutes. Our collective voice has a real impact. So something that I will share from a couple of things I'll share at the federal level, and I'll be mindful of time because my colleagues know I could have probably taken the entire hour catching you up on what's been going on in DC this year. I'll give you a couple of highlights, and I promise we are always available for more information. You know that we've been working on student debt. We've done a lot of research in this area, and we know that women, as more women are going into higher education, unfortunately, it also means that more women are shouldering the burden of student debt. We're not starting off with the same family wealth, and we have a much larger debt burden when it comes to student loans. And there have been a lot of efforts to actually alleviate the burden that puts on a woman's economic future. Shouldering this debt is preventing people from buying their first home. It's causing people to put off whether they choose to have a family. And it's having repercussions well into somebody's retirement years and how well they can retire or if they can retire. I will say this is not one of my more optimistic pieces. This is an issue that even though the past year, AAUW has been very engaged in what was called a negotiated rulemaking process to try to streamline rules to make it easier for people to access debt relief. We're seeing a lot of that really hung up in the courts as recently as just last week. So we're seeing a lot of fits and starts. And what that means for people who have student debt is it means a tremendous amount of confusion. This is not the way to make people feel economically secure. Another big piece that we've been working on this past year on the education front has been Title IX. After years of working on trying to strengthen Title IX rules that were vastly rolled back in 2020, we actually had a wonderful success. We did see in the spring new rules that actually strengthen protections for sexual assault and harassment, how schools needed to respond and what they needed to respond to. We saw the first time of actually having Title IX articulated for schools how they should proactively be supporting pregnant and parenting students. And especially as we're seeing so many abortion restrictions around the country, we are seeing increased birth rates. We do need to support women who are both students and parents. And we also saw an articulation that Title IX definitively does provide civil rights protection to all students, including LGBTQ students. So I would like that to be the good news, that these rules were supposed to go into effect across the country on October 1st. And many of you live in states where these have gone into effect. But many of you live in states that have challenged the new rules in court. So we are really, truly a tale of two countries right now. We have 24 states who have robust and inclusive civil rights protections under Title IX, and we have 26 states that have tied this up in the courts because we haven't agreed how to protect our most vulnerable students. We talk a lot about economic security. We have had some wins here. Earlier this year, the executive branch instituted a ban on the use of salary history for, I always get tongue-tied on this, forgive me, a use of preventing the use of salary history when determining the salary for an incoming federal worker. Many of you know that women are starting off with lower salaries, and if you always choose your next if your next salary is always based on a salary that was always lower, you are never going to catch up. So when we eliminate these salary histories, it really gives women much more of a level playing field. We've also seen the implementation of the Pregnant Workers Fairness Act, and we've seen the Equal Opportunity Commission put out guidance on harassment in the workplace. The downside is that this has been a very challenging year, and almost all of these things have been challenged in court, but we persist. When we think about civil rights, I can't speak to this group and not talk about the Equal Rights Amendment. The Equal Rights Amendment has been ratified by 3/4 of the states. We have an opportunity to actually have the 28th Amendment recognized in the US Constitution. There are a couple of different avenues to do this. Right now, one of the avenues has been to try to move forward a discharge petition for a resolution in Congress that would affirm that the so-called deadline for ratification does not need to be adhered to. Congress has waived it, is moving forward. I'm really simplifying this, but if we get 218 signatures on that discharge petition, we would be able to demand a vote in the House of Representatives. I have some concerns that it's September 10th and we're in an election year. So the other path forward is we need to make sure that we are demonstrating political will to move forward the ERA and have it recognized and published as a 28th Amendment. And we need all of our communities to understand that gender is not protected in the US Constitution. And we need to be calling on the president to demand that the archivist publish the 28th Amendment. We're closer than ever, and yet we still have a lot to do. The other piece that I do want to mention as it relates to civil rights, I don't need to tell anybody on this call that we have been suffering tremendous blows about bodily autonomy, state by state. But this is again where I actually want to commend folks in the states. We have, thanks to the AAUW members around the country, there are about a dozen states that access to abortion care and reproductive rights is on the ballot this year. I have to say, no offense to my friends in Missouri, but you were one of my surprises, having AAUW members be part of the effort to get a ballot initiative moving forward in Missouri, moving forward in Florida, moving forward in Colorado. We can make a difference on these issues when we're working together and when we're raising our voices. So looking ahead to the election, I guess I do want to do one more quick poll. And I'm wondering how many of you will be joining me this evening in watching the debate tonight. I know that there is a tremendous amount of interest. We've hit that point. We're past Labor Day. Now we're focusing on the election. I want to thank the Muneen Leachy Giving Circle because they really helped us rethink and revitalize our It's My Vote campaign this year. We have been able to do a series of webinars. Many of you have joined us for voter registration training. We have partnered with groups like When We All Vote, and we are moving forward. We have put together a voter issue guide in English and Spanish and making that content available for you to share on social media. And many of you are. We know that many of you are holding this in the next couple of weeks. AAUW, you are holding candidate forums, you are having voter registration events, you are participating in the National Voter Registration Day next Tuesday, the 17th. These are our opportunities to make our voices heard. And I just want to point out, all of these are also opportunities to earn your policy stars as part of the 5-star program. Because when we work together, we will make positive change. Sherry also mentioned earlier, in terms of change, something that just came out today, and we're really still evaluating the numbers, but we're looking at new pay data that has come out today. And this is an area where we know change is needed. But in order to get that change, we need your help. We need your participation. So I'm just going to ask Katrina for a little help. I just want to show you a couple of slides, and I want to thank you all for your participation, for your voice. This election, from AUW's perspective, we are a nonpartisan organization, and I know that there are many of you out there that would like us to pick a side, don't stand on the sidelines. And my response to that is, we are not on the sidelines. We are there, but we're issues forward. We're there in California. We're there in Pennsylvania. We're there in Maryland. We are there in California. We're there in Washington State. People are taking a look. They're thinking about what issues matter to them. And we're helping inform people about how they can vote in their community, when they can vote in their community, what issues are on their ballot, how can we participate? And I've got a couple of extra slides because I just want to show that this isn't a one-time thing. We're having these conversations. You are having these conversations across the country. And I invite everybody to download your signs. Think about your branch. Have a branch activity. When you're doing a voter registration table, ask people, why does their vote matter to them? It's a wonderful way, in a very nonpartisan way, to start that conversation. It's also for a branch. I know that also a lot of branches today will be watching the debate. They will have AAUW bingo cards. We will be playing together and evaluating what the statements are and what the policy issues that matter to us, and personally evaluating candidates that align with our values. And it's not for me to choose who that candidate is for any of us, but it's an opportunity for all of us to be talking about what matters to you as AAUW. Just do it in a nonpartisan way, and we can do this all together. The last thing that I will say is our work, there's so many new and continuing attacks on equity in so many ways. It feels like it's coming from every angle. But our work in the States and in DC only begins in November. We're going to have a new president. We are going to have a new Congress. We do not know what that is going to look like. All of you will have beginnings of new state legislatures. This is a new beginning, and we need to stay strong, united, and mission focused if we're going to continue to move forward and create positive change for equity for women and girls. So with that, my thank you to all of you, and I will turn it over to my colleague, Katrina.
Thank you so much, Megan. Thank you to Gloria and Tremaine for all of your great updates. We're also so thankful once again to the Mooney Lecce Giving Circle, who's generously supported our It's My Vote campaign activities. I dropped in the chat our bingo cards, so a link to the presidential debate bingo game, and we certainly invite each of you to participate with us, with your friends, colleagues, neighbors, family members. Please do feel free to share. I want to once again express my deep appreciation for all of our members, whether you are a national or branch member, to those who've submitted some great questions in the Q&A, should you have any additional questions, I want to also put up on the slide a few inboxes that might perhaps be useful to you and your members. First, if you have questions relative to the Fellowships and Grants program, you can contact that team directly through fellowships@auw.org for any question for Megan and follow up to any of the resources and information that she shared today. The policy team's inbox is policy@auw.org. Also, most of you are quite familiar with our membership and donations inbox at connect@auw.org. For those that are member leaders, you may already be very familiar with our Connect office hours. And for those who are members at branches needing answers to questions, whether it's reaching out directly to the Connect inbox or encouraging your member volunteer leaders to join one of our upcoming office hours that happen every Tuesday and Thursday, we certainly encourage you to reach out there. And then last but not least, any questions for our executive team can be directed to our executive@auw.org inbox. And so with that, once again, my deepest thanks. We truly appreciate all of you who were able to join us this afternoon. We encourage you to continue your voter registration activities, stay engaged with AUW, whether as a member, a supporter, attending one of our webinars, sharing information and resources, and continuing to stay incredibly involved in your branches. Once again, too, for those branches who will be participating in this year's branch survey, we highly encourage all of our branch presidents to check their inboxes on September 12th when our 5-star annual branch survey will be sent out for activities covered in FY24. And for those that aren't branch presidents, which many of you, of course, are on today's webinar, we hope you will take some time and promote the 5-star criteria and program at your branches as a roadmap for success and a way to be mission aligned with AUW. Thank you once again to everyone who took the time to join us, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.